first thing that I learned is I used to believe that money bought love and happiness. I used to believe the more that I would give, the more that I would get. That has shifted. It's shifted to money is still a currency in my life, but I now blend it with faith, another currency.
Welcome back to the Living Banter Podcast. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day. And if not so, it's about to be a whole lot better because today we have an incredible, astonishing guest. He's the co-founder of Sports One Marketing, formerly served as the CEO of renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency. He's an incredible speaker, author, and business coach. His life mission is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. This simple yet powerful mission has led him on an incredible journey to provide one thing, and that's value. In all his content and communication, that's exactly what you'll receive. As part of that mission, for the past 20 years, he's been providing free weekly trainings to empower all other people to be happy. It's the David Meltzer. How are you doing, David?
I am doing so well, so excited to be with you boys. What a great show, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some hopefully great lessons and stories to help people.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome.
And to
Great
start,
to have you on.
yes, and to start off the podcast, I'm actually gonna derail it a bit. I'm gonna go. So you always give good advice. What is the worst advice you've ever been given?
The internet, my mom, the worst advice is from my mom.
Oh.
She literally told me when I graduated law school, I had 2 job offers. One was to be a lawyer, 6-figure job, being an oil and gas litigator. The other was to work in the internet. And my mom told me literally the internet's a fad. It's going nowhere. Nobody ever will do research on computers. You need my mom's a teacher, right? You only can do research in books. Who would ever use a computer to do research? That had to be the worst advice. And I didn't take it, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Jeepers, okay.
Surely.
Yeah, and I'm actually studying computer science, application development. So I'm pretty sure, sometime down the line, something happened that it became a viable job option. Something happened.
Exactly.
I don't know exactly what. But
that's why when I asked her about esports and she told me that was going to be a bust, I said, I'm going to put a couple million. I'm going to buy a team.
Oh, yeah. That's actually one of the questions I have jotted down is, so what's the story behind Toronto Ultra, the Warzone team that you've invested in? I would like to hear. How did that come about?
I mean, talk about the best advice. So I'm going to take my son. It's his very first championship game. It's LeBron James versus Steph Curry in Oracle Arena. And as we're taking the tram over to the game, my son, who may have been 7 at the time, he said, Daddy, the League of Legends championship was at Oracle and they sold out. Ooh, and I said, no, Miles, that's a video game. People don't watch them in arenas. It's on the internet, and they have lots of people that watch on the internet. And he said, no, Dad, it's sold out. I said, come on, I'm a pretty big figure in sports. I would know if video games are selling out arenas.
Yeah.
So my media guy, who's younger, he's like 30, he looks at me and he goes, Dave, more people are going to watch the League of Legends championship than the NBA championship game 7. I'm like, come on, man. So I went and started doing research. Meta World Peace, Meta and Marcus Colston from the Saints, they called me and said, hey, Dave, we want to be the founding investors in an esport team, and the Toronto franchise is available. It was called Splice at that time. It became Overactive Media, owns Ultra. But so literally because of my 7-year-old son, I invested in the esport team. And here's how smart I am. I told my wife, hey, I just invested all this money in an esports team. I'm probably going to lose it. But it's great marketing for me because I can get involved in people. I can be a credible figure. And, if I lose my money, I lose my money. But it's good for marketing. Meanwhile, it's been the best investment that I've had in the last 3 years.
Yeah. Who would have thought? Yeah. It's phenomenal how the gaming industry has transformed and exploded, especially during these times.
Yeah.
Where people's at home is just transformed. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So
And
I
I,
wanted to go into this as, during the pandemic as well, many businesses have failed or having to close down sadly. But Dave, you've pivoted in this time. So how have you done so? How have you evolved during this time?
It's really simple. And I still tell people, the opportunity to transform yourself is not missing. So, what do I do at all times? Number one, you have to take inventory of your capabilities. And really, your capabilities are what skills do you have? I know, James, you were talking about skills that you've developed. What knowledge do you have? And when you look at knowledge, don't just look at the what you know, don't forget to look at who you know, just as powerful as
Mm,
what you know.
love
And
that.
then finally, look at the capabilities, the true, skill set that you hold, those capabilities and desire. And so
mm,
Mm,
what I do, especially during times of accelerated change, is I align my skills, my knowledge, and my desire with what's doing well during that period of change. I align it with what's stable
that's awesome.
during the
mm,
period of change. Then I also take a couple lottery tickets, meaning I'll align my skills, knowledge, and desire to what I think will be doing well
Mm,
in the future. And how do you find that out? Most people don't ask the second question, which is more
yeah,
important
yeah.
than the first. So I use the
great.
stock market. What do I
Okay.
do?
Wow.
I look at the 50 best performing stocks right now, and I see what industry, careers, genre, everything that's involved. Then I look at, what's of those 50 companies, that's what's doing really well. Then I look at what stocks haven't moved in the
Mm,
last 3 years.
Yeah.
Then I know
yeah.
those are stable industries, careers,
Mm,
companies that I can work with and how my capabilities align or supplementary or synergistic. And then I kind of look through the big, losers that I think are going to recover because the natural
Yeah.
mm,
course of recovery is things get oversold, and that's when
Mm,
you want to buy them. And
okay.
things get overbought, and that's what you want to sell them. And if you can
Mm,
not hit the bottoms and the tops, but just know when something's oversold and something's overbought, that's what I call the margins of millionaires. So I'm
mm,
always part of what I make is always in the buying and selling of things, whether it
yeah.
be
okay.
at yard sales, whether it be crypto, whether it be sports cars or
Mm,
cards, doesn't matter.
Bitcoin.
I'm
Yeah.
always
yeah.
asking the experts, hey, tell me, like I just got off the phone with digital sport trading cards.
Oh yeah,
And
because
I
yeah.
asked the
That's awesome.
expert, hey, tell me when it's oversold so I can buy it. And then tell me when it's overbought and I'll sell it.
Solid. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Phenomenal.
And
Love
there
that.
was actually a question I kind of had attached to, the investing side of things, as you've kind of just given us, like what is probably a 3 minute, investing 101. So, as a young adult, let's say someone in their 20s up until round
Mm,
about 25, the early 20s section, what advice would you want to give to someone in that range who is probably studying and doesn't have very much money? What would your advice be to someone like that? Where should they start investing? And I know you said a little bit about looking at the top, stock shares thing, but is there any for specifically for that in particular age group?
Yeah, for me, number one, invest in yourself by asking for help. So when we talk
true.
about, I spend my money on
Mm,
investing in me, all the great minds of the world surrounded
mm,
themselves with the great minds of the world.
mm,
Mm,
With Napoleon Hill followed Carnegie, right? And asked
mm,
questions. All the great minds, I had great mentorship. Leigh Steinberg, you mentioned, Warren
mm.
Moon,
yeah.
Steve Wynn. I mean, the list will go on and
Awesome.
on. And,
Yeah.
and so if I had to do it again, I would utilize radical humility and find who I wanted to be like and ask them if I could shadow them. I'd invest in myself. I do what they were doing. And look, as an investment in whatever I was interested in, if I'm interested in stocks, I'd get somebody like Warren Buffett and,
Mm,
Yeah.
put my $100 where he's putting his 100 million. But
mm,
more importantly, learn from him than invest my money. I
mm,
make the
So
investment in
true.
myself by learning as much as I can.
mm. Okay.
Love that.
That's a really, yeah.
Because there's a great saying that they always say, show me your friends or show me your surroundings, I'll show you your future. It's like who you
Mm,
surround yourselves with, that literally becomes a part of your life, that becomes who you are. Like,
mm.
Yeah,
you don't even
that's
know how much you're being fed sometimes by other people.
Kaden, that's the only piece of advice I give my kids. I have three teenage daughters, 21, 19, and 16. and they probably have heard 100 times when they're around someone that I don't feel is of the same frequency or expectation of their future. I'll tell them, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. In fact, as you both know, I've lost over $100 million when I was in my 30s. And I will tell you, one of the biggest contributing factors is I had surrounded myself with the wrong people and the wrong ideas. I surrounded myself with people that weren't doing the right things, were not sharing, they were bleeding me, right? I call it the great chain of bleeding. Now in my life, I'm always looking for people. If you feed me, I feed you. If you don't feed me, I allow you to fall away in varying degrees. But if you bleed me, I'll fire you from my life. I don't want to be around it anymore. I don't care who you are. You can be a Hall of Famer. You can be a billionaire, millionaire, entrepreneur. I don't care. If you bleed me, adios amigos. There's plenty of other people to surround myself with.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
That's so great advice.
yeah. That I have to agree with that, because even though I know for a fact I'm still very young, there are people I've had to cut out of my life to, essentially move myself forward. And I think of this in particular in my music career, and I don't want to like say, oh, me the biggest and all that type of thing. It's just there was someone at a point in my life where I had to say, listen, me and you, we kind of work well together, but you're bleeding me dry in an emotional capacity.
You have to
and
make the tough decisions.
yeah, there's a lot of times where you have to make tough decisions. And I mean, even recently, him and I got on the phone and we, discussed cleared the air between us, because, I was in a bad mental space when he first tried to approach me with, clearing the air. But now that it's been maybe a year or 2 years since him and I have had stopped talking, we could actually clear it. So yes, your friends are definitely going to be the people who, perpetuate your future, if that's even the right term.
Yeah, and there's one more nuance I want to add in, just because I think it's important. When I was your age, and I see so many of my own friends and their kids, look, there's a difficult time. What if your parents bleed you emotionally? Right? What if you're, this is these questions I get from, young adults like yourselves. And I always say that, you can't fire your family, but what you can do is not try to change them, convince them. Remember, it takes as much energy to change a closed mind as it does 1,000 open minds. So a lot of times our families have closed minds for their other family members. And so what I do, and what I've done is utilizing that variance chain of bleeding to feeding, is I try to understand my family and pray for their happiness instead of trying to prove myself, change their mind, please them. Like I don't increase the resistance, the voids, the shortages, the emotional discharge that our family gives us so much of the time. So I think it's important. We get to choose our friends. We don't get to choose our family. So I think it also makes it very important who we choose, since we have to be around our family. It's separate how we deal with them, compared to why put yourself 100%. In a situation that you don't have to be in. You get to choose your friends.
Yeah.
100%. Friends is the family that you choose at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Friends are the way friends are God's way of apologizing for your family.
I believe that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's something I can.
I told your family that, and they laughed harder.
Damn, why are you talking to my mom like that? Damn.
Oh my word.
Jeez.
Okay.
Jeez, Dave.
So
switching topics, I wanted to ask, so you've experienced the highs of highs being a multimillionaire and the lowest of lows going broke. And having seen both sides of the spectrum, how have you learned from both sides of the spectrum, so to say?
It's my relationship with money. And the first thing that I learned is I used to believe that money bought love and happiness. I used to believe the more that I would give, the more that I would get. That has shifted. I've been rich and I've been poor twice in my life. It's shifted to money is still a currency in my life, but I now blend it with faith, another currency. So a currency is an object of energy you put into the flow to get what you want, money. So is faith. So what I utilize money for is money doesn't buy love or happiness,
Mm.
but with faith, it allows me to shop for the right things. I don't buy things I don't need anymore. I don't buy things to impress people. I used to buy things to impress people I didn't even like. I now believe this, that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be at all times. I'm at the right place at the perfect time. I'm going to give everything I got. I'm going to give everything I have to angle to what I want. I'm going to have attention plus intention to create the coincidences in my life, the mathematical equation of luck. But here's the kicker. I always did that. The difference is today, I know I have faith that I'm going to end up somewhere better than I can even dream of if I'm kind. If I'm kind to yourself, if I'm kind instead of right, if I'm gracious, I find the light, the love, and the lessons in everything. If I'm gracious, I have gratitude. If I'm forgiving of others and myself, I have peace and certainty. If I'm accountable, I have control of all of this. I ask myself, everything becomes a lesson when you're accountable because you say to yourself, I attracted this to myself. What am I supposed to learn from it? Pain becomes not a stop sign. Pain becomes an indicator you have a lesson to learn. It's actually a turn signal, right? For me, pain is a turn signal saying, hey, if you learn this lesson, you're going to be in a better place, a better situation, or make your situation better. So pain to me is just an indicator. It's not a stop sign. I don't avoid it. I'm not afraid of it. I have no void shortages, obstacles, or interference from it. I simply learn and seek the light, the love, and the lessons through forgiveness and accountability. And sure enough, I end up in a place.
That's amazing. That's so powerful, Dave, honestly.
I'm just trying to think, how do I come from that? How do we come back from that? Jeez.
Truly. Guys, if you're listening to the audience here, take notes because this is truly some things that you have to meditate and ponder on and truly absorb the essence of it. So thank you so much for that, Dave.
Yeah, I give training around the world. I've been doing it for over 20 years. My mission of empowering over 1 billion people is simply to find 1,000 people like you and James that I know in your lifetime will empower another 1,000 to empower another.
100%.
Right? Yeah. So I have my podcast is a playbook. I do the trainings on there. Billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs. I'm kind of the Napoleon Hill of podcasting. So you can find all the playbooks to success that you want. And literally, people can just email me, david@bmeltzer.com. In my training, my books, my podcast, my TV shows around the world. I have 2 Minute Drill on Bloomberg and Amazon. Try $50,000 for guys like around the world every week. So try out for our pitch competitions. And the reason I do this, look, I have been rich and I've been poor. I know that rich is much better if you buy the right things. But the main thing is if you can blend persistent, consistent behavior with allowing things to happen in the pursuit of your potential. Too many people out there, guys, they vote for what they don't want. They vote for what's missing in life.
So true.
They vote for what other people want for them. And you end up in a really bad place because you end up with what's missing in your life, what you don't want, what other people want. I'm telling you, the mathematical equation of luck involves 3 laws. Number 1, the law of gravity says everything is drawn to me. The law of Goya, get off your ass. You got to make it happen. And then when you make that happen, the universe is a vacuum. It's expanding. You got now the law of attraction. So you got to pay attention and give intention to what you want to fill with. Let me give you an example. The universe is a pool. So here's the walls of the pool. Universe is expanding. As you create your action expands faster and bigger. Well, what happens to the water in the pool? Creates a vacuum. Now, most people in that vacuum, right, they put what they don't want, what's missing, or other people want. I want you guys to think about what I want. So as you expand, grow, and accelerate, the vacuum now pulls what? Everything that you want right to you rapidly and accurately. And everybody calls you lucky. That's the mathematical equation of luck.
Oh, jeepers.
Beautiful.
I didn't know that there was actually, some equation like that. But now that you kind of explained it, it makes a bit of sense,
I hope so. It works for me.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Works well.
Indeed, it
Dave,
does work
thank you
well.
so much for joining. Honestly, guys, link to all his website, his podcast, all in the description of this podcast. We
Mm,
totally support Dave in reaching 1 billion people, empowering them to be happy. I totally
mm,
see that happening one day for you, Dave. It's bound to
yes.
happen. Honestly, you're attracting that to your life.
Heck yeah.
Any
Make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, be kind to your future self, do good deeds. It'll happen for all of us.
Yes.
100%. Love that, man. Thank you so much for joining, Dave. It's been an honor. Have a great
Mm.
day further. To our audience
Thank
out there, like and subscribe to the channel. Go send Dave some love. He's an incredible legend. Let him know that. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.
Peace out.
Peace.
Peace out.